I work in a treatment center for people who are struggling with mental health issues and usually with substance abuse also. People do some drastic things sometimes to not feel pain. And I often say there, it turns out, a lot of our teaching. I use our teaching there quite a bit. They don't know that. I don't say to them, this is all science of mind, but it is, right? Because once you've become informed of the things that we believe here, you find that, well, it actually is the answer for most of the things we suffer from, most of the things we struggle with, and it would be ridiculous of me to go in there quoting a lot of psychobabble that I've learned through classes, which, by the way, a lot of it's true, and is proven even as by our teaching and ancient wisdom. Turns out the ancients knew a lot more than we thought. In fact, I'm pretty sure we devolved and then had to evolve again, right? I think thousands of years ago they got this thing. And they taught it. I spend quite a bit of time and money going to the Toltec world because I believe what they believed. Now, here's something that was called to my attention the last few weeks. So I get up there and I say these things, and then I say, does this all sound simple? And often they'll say yes, because it is actually pretty simple when you look at it. I told Mitch once, it was amazing how you were able to take this simple concept and stretch it out into 3 years of classes that I had to take. And who here is a practitioner that would, or has taken classes that would say, they all start sounding pretty much alike, right? It's like, yeah, I've taken this class before, I'm pretty sure, but I need it to get, what I want. I'm going to be a practitioner. So I get up there and I say in groups and even one-on-one with clients, I'm like, this thing is actually simple. And then I've said a lot, but it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. But then I turn around and I'll say, this isn't hard. And so, of course, I had a client one day point it out. You contradict yourself a lot. Just what I wanted to hear in front of a group of people. You contradict yourself a lot. You say it's easy, and then you say it's hard. Which is it? Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I said, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. And then I realized that we live in a culture that has taught us anything worth having is going to be hard. It's going to take hard work. Anything worth having is going to take hard work. Hard work, hard work, hard work. It's a Puritan work ethic. Anyone ever heard of that? It's a work ethic that we got to work hard. We got to work hard. And so I was applying that to this teaching. Now, here's what I would say. Anything worth having is going to take intention. And sometimes following my intention is going to take some work. And the work may feel difficult only because we are also programmed for instant gratification. See, a lot of these people come to the treatment center or even into my office in my private practice, and they're like, tell me the one thing I need to do to walk out of here feeling whole, complete, and perfect. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. And sometimes, especially at the treatment center, I want to say, I'm sorry you've spent tens of thousands of dollars to be here for 30, 60, 90 days, and you're leaving here not feeling whole, complete, and perfect. But what if the work becomes a journey that is easy if I just give into it, if I lean into it? What if it were easy and delightful? You've heard me say this before. Terrified and exhilarated are almost the exact same emotion. It literally is just shift in perspective. Am I terrified or am I exhilarated? Wow, I see the path in front of me. It's not going to necessarily seem easy. But what if I just leaned into, it's going to be exhilarating? And then I find joy in it every day. So in the 12-step world, there's always been this slogan that I see a lot, because it's possible I've spent some time in those rooms, a lot of time in those rooms. And it says, easy does it. And I was always like, I don't even know what that means. As a concept, I kind of like the idea, easy does it. Stop being so hard on yourself. We've got this, most of us have, well, I'm going to just say all of us have. The people that say they don't have, I don't think they're telling the truth. We all have a part of us that we can call the inner critic. Anyone have an inner critic? You don't have to raise your, oh, look, you are. Yeah. The inner critic. And the inner critic is that one that says, you're not doing it right. You're never going to get it right. Oh, by the way, she's not doing it right. Because the inner critic doesn't stop with us. It starts with us, and it beats the heck out of us. And then it beats the heck out of everybody else too. Right? So all of that is making it hard. We're making it hard. Easy does it. And the answer to the critic is love. My mentor these days, Jenny Gentry, in her book, Dreaming Down Heaven, the 12 Keystones, she says, self-love silences the inner critic. Oh. Self-love. And I've said this before. She does this thing where she teaches you to go, no, boo-boo. So when that voice is going on in your head, just simply go, oh, no, boo-boo. I'm not going there. I'm not going to talk against myself. I'm not going to make this hard. I'm not going to make me wrong. I'm going to notice, and I'm going to be curious maybe even about, I wonder where that comes from. I wonder where that thought comes from. I wonder what that action was motivated by. And we're going to talk about motivation. Because a lot of what we think is hard work is simply because our motivation needs to be shifted. I want to read, I think it's interesting today. Kirsty sang a song that had Jesus in it. Lima did a reading that had Jesus in it. I'm going to quote Jesus. Here we go. If you're offended by that, schedule an appointment with me. I'm getting certified in religious trauma therapy. Can't help it. Matthew 11:28-30. Jesus is speaking. He says, come to me, all ye, I'm going to cry already, who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Ooh, take that word in. I mean it literally. Take a deep breath. Rest. I will give you rest. Now, I'll come back. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, I bet you, most of you already know that verse of scripture and kind of could quote a lot of it with me. But you know what's interesting? Hello, sweet love. Okay. Anyway, I was always taught as a kid, I'm going to tell you, every time I've ever heard anyone speak on that, they focused on the yoke more and the burden more than they focused on the rest. Oh, you got to bear that yoke. The ox and the yoke, and they're pulling, and the burden. Oh, the burden. When you come to be a Christian, you take on all this burden. And as I was thinking about this talk this morning, that verse of scripture came to me, and I went, oh my gosh, that's not what it means at all. Because here's, if you know the context, Jesus had just spoken about all the laws and the Pharisees and all that was being required of Jews to be saved, to find salvation. And what he was saying was, that yoke was hard. That yoke was hard. My yoke is not hard. It's not burdensome. It's easy. My yoke actually leads you to peace and rest. It's light. Right? Isn't it interesting how we would take that and add it to our already damaged view of spirituality and say, see, heavy, yoke, hard, burden. We're missing the point. I mean, isn't that interesting? We're completely missing the point. And this morning, I got to be honest, I had one of those mind blown. I'm like, how did I get this wrong for so long? That was a verse of scripture I would have avoided like the plague to ever quote in this place. Until I look at it and go, no, he was saying, stop it. He was saying, stop it. No, boo-boo. I think Jesus was saying, no, boo-boo. Who knew? Here's where this comes down. He also said in another verse of scripture, I'm not going to read it, but maybe know the story. He was out in the hinterlands, and he comes across a Samaritan woman. And there's the whole story there of drawing well from the well of living water. And so all that's for her. But people were criticizing him. Why are you talking to this Samaritan woman? Because they can't be saved. I grew up hearing about all kinds of people that couldn't be saved because of what they believed, what they did, who they were, where they lived. And Jesus was like, pfft. And here's how he answered it. He said, now is the time when we will, in the past we've worshiped God through all these laws and things, but meaning like I can't talk to a Samaritan woman. But now we're going to worship God, come to God, take God into our lives in spirit and in truth. And he opens that statement by saying, God is spirit. God is spirit. Therefore, now we must worship God in spirit and truth. You know what he's saying right there, New Thought people? He's saying what God is, you are. What God is, you are. I am it, but not all of it. Lovely. Grateful for that truth. And now is the time that we must be led by the truth that comes to us in spirit that we are. Well, that's not hard. See, that's the part when we go, oh, yeah, that's easy. Now, you say to me, and people say it to me all the time, but Gregory, how do I know if what I'm thinking, believing, doing is spirit and truth, or if it's something else? Because I followed my own advice before and it didn't work out so well. So here's the good news. I'm learning this so much in my own life and in my own walk and in my own journey, this exhilarating journey to self. When it's my voice and the voices in my head, it always has an element of fear. It always feels like fear. I mean, I might not call it that. And by the way, fear can masquerade itself as a lot of things. A lot of what I refer to as adaptive strategies things that I've picked up, ways of being, ways that I've habituated because they made me not feel afraid. But at the bottom of it, the motivation was always fear, right? Spirit always feels like love. It always feels like love. Ooh, I can breathe that in. That feels like love. It's a vibration that feels different. And we need to do a little bit of practice to notice the difference. But what if even that's easy? It's just an experiment. We're experimenting. Oh yeah, that feels like love. Yeah, that feels different. That feels like love. People say, how do I know my purpose? It will feel like love. You know, how do I know my calling? It'll feel like love. How do I know my authentic self? It's coming from love. See, now it's interesting because I think about this, like today, as I'm sitting here getting ready to get up here, my greatest prayer, and I pray it for about an hour before I get up here, and I'm not kidding, let me get out of the way. Because here's the truth. I'm a good speaker whether I'm acting from love or not. Because I have gifts, and I have skills. I've developed them. I can get up here and give this sermon without it ever coming from a place deep in me that is me, but greater than me. But here's what I've discovered. I'm sitting there, I'm going, please, 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 let this not be my ego. Let me not get up here and speak because I need for you all to say, oh, Gregory, you are so fabulous. Let it not be that. Because you know what that is? Fear. That's fear. Because there's a part of me that says, what will I feel if I don't get that? What would I feel if they never ask me back? You see how that's fear. But love is the one that says, oh, get me out of the way so that something can come through me that is me, but is greater than me, greater than me. I want to be a channel in this moment. I don't want it to be me, please. These people don't need more people's egos. Don't we get enough of that? Oh, on television, click. You know, it's just like I can't. But you know and can feel the vibration of something that is not someone's ego. I hope. And I hope you are developing that. More of that, please. More of those people in my life, please. Create your community, and a community where when you walk into it, it feels like love. Yes. Yes. And what if it were easy? What if you just ask for it and then it shows up? Right? Someone earlier, I was talking to Lisa Firestone, and we were talking about this very thing, and I said, the problem with a lot of us is we'll go to a practitioner or we'll be in our prayer closet or whatever, and we'll ask God to do something, and then we don't look for God to show up. If you're going to ask for something, watch. Oh, there's God. How much time have I got? Diane Woody just walked in. Diane and I had a little bit of a falling out. Yeah. And she moved to Florida. And I didn't know where she was. She sent me a Christmas card. When I get a Christmas card with the new address, I always tear out the corner and I put it in a stack, and this needs to be added to my Excel spreadsheet. I was headed to Florida with Esther Nicholson to do a speaking engagement with her. And as I was leaving my office to go get on the plane, I'm shutting the drawer and out flies, falls to the floor. I looked down there and I picked it up. Diane Woody, Delray, Beach, Florida. I'm like, I'm going to Delray Beach, Florida right this minute. I'm getting on a plane to go to Delray Beach, Florida right this minute. So I called Esther and said, when we get down there, do you want to go visit Diane? She said, absolutely. So I text Diane. And I said, I'm coming that way. Is there a possibility we could get together? She said, of course. So we get down there. We're way busy, way busy. Every minute was scheduled. And I was like, I don't think we're going to get to do this. And we're standing in our booth. Esther and I had a booth at the exhibit hall. And they walked up to me and said, we're about to shut down. There's nobody here. Everyone's already gone home. We were getting ready to go get on a plane in like 5 hours. But we were supposed to be, right up until time to get to the airport in time in that exhibit hall. We're closing down. I went, oh. And then I turned to Esther and I said, well, we're going to have to tear down and get it all packed up and get it, ready to ship and pay for shipping and all that stuff. They said, you know what, we're going back to Nashville. We'll tear it down and take it for you. I looked at Esther and said, I think we just got about 3 hours of time that we weren't expecting. See, what if it were easy? What if I said, I want to be in flow. I want to be in spirit. It is my goal. I'm going to get up today and say, what if this is the best day yet? And then I'm going to intend to make that so. And then you watch and God shows up. Who knew? Had a lovely visit with Diane Woody. And by the way, the little disagreement thing kind of falling out we'd had. See, at that moment, you have to go, well, I guess I'm going to have to get over that. I mean, I don't even remember now what it was. I guess I'm going to have to get over that because God is showing up and it looks like love. So this morning, I was getting ready to come over here and I looked and saw that Reverend Denise, she mouthed her name, but I actually did remember. Was speaking, and I saw what she was speaking on. I went, I can't go listen because I'm pretty sure I'll end up speaking her sermon because it was essentially the same thing. And then she told a story that I hadn't thought of, and I said, well, I am going to use that story. Because here's what I think is important, and I'm going to try to hurry here. Jesus and his disciples walk into a city, and they walk up to the pool at Bethesda. Now, the pool at Bethesda was a healing place. But here was the rule. You had to wait till the angel came down and stirred up the water, and then you had to be the first person in the pool. It was like some weird divine lottery, or not so divine. Right? And this guy, but that was the rule. You don't get healed unless you're the first one in. And by the way, what we think is what we get. So this rule becomes a story. And so no one's healed unless they're the first one in. So this guy's laying there crippled. He can't get to the pool, and he has no friends to get him to the pool. So he's here in hopelessness. Because the story in my head is, I cannot get to the pool after the angel stirs the water, therefore I'm hopeless. And Jesus walks up to him and says, hey, what's going on here? And he says, well, I'm trying to get in the pool, but no one will take me to the pool, so I'm just SOL. And Jesus says, why don't you just get up and walk? Well, that's not the rule, Jesus. Do you not know the rules of the pool at Bethesda? And Jesus said, no rules. Get up and walk. Now, we can look at that and say, oh, Jesus was what made the difference. I'm telling you, no. What made the difference was the man said, boom, walking. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, and Reverend Denise pointed this out today so brilliantly. There's another place in the Bible where it says, when Jesus was in front of a group and someone turned and said, he speaks as one who has authority. Love speaks with authority in your life. When you hear it, you know it. Listen for it. Now I'm going to tell you one more story and then I'm going to be done. Lazarus. So Lazarus is in the tomb, dead. Dead. Boom. He wasn't sleeping. This wasn't a fake out. He was dead. And Jesus goes and says, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus gets up and walks out. And so that's interesting right off the bat, because he heard it in some realm. Jesus called him out. But here's the next thing that I think is so interesting for us as a body of people who are wanting to be in love with each other. He then turns to the people standing around who were, a little amazed. And he says, because he comes out still wrapped up in the bandages and things that they buried people in. And he turns to the people and says, loose him and let him go. The miracle wasn't complete without the assistance of the people that were there. It required something of them. So brethren and sisterin, look around. Because part of what makes it easy is you're not alone. Loose us and let us go. All of us, be in service to one another. In love, we'll know what that feels like. And so it is.
Welcome to the Sunday service at CSLN. We are a welcoming and inclusive community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family. The Center for Spiritual Living Nashville offers spiritual tools for anyone seeking a more fulfilled and meaningful life through a deeper connection with a higher power or universal truths. Be sure to subscribe below if you enjoy our programs.